Welcome back to the Main Beam Podcast, episode 20. And we got a small crew with us today.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a different episode. Adam's out of town working, and everyone else has kind of had a lot of things going on.
Spencer's sick. Not really sick, but I think allergies has everyone messed up right now a little bit.
Yeah, my eyes itch so bad I literally want to just itch them out of my face right now.
So we're going to knock out a short and sweet one. We're going to talk a little bit of turkey hunting, I think, through youth season kind of. And we were hoping to do it as a group, but it doesn't look like it was going to happen this week. So we're just going to knock it out. That way it's out of the way.
We're the only ones that kill birds right now anyway.
Yep. So I'll be one of your hosts, Brady Stockman.
Alan Regin.
I'm Landen Stockman.
And Alan's back in the house.
Alan's,
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Ooh, that's loud. No.
well, we kicked off turkey season
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
I was going to say today is Tuesday. Tuesday the 16th.
We always try to find a youth to go every year since our cousins and stuff had gotten old enough and hadn't.
Yeah, and both kids we took this year were 15. So
Yeah, so
we're going to have a whole new roster of kids come next year.
Yeah, but we try to find someone every year to go. I really enjoy taking a kid out and...
Throw your phone on the ground. It's buzzing.
Don't tell me what to do. My phone's buzzing?
One of them was. I threw mine on the ground, but go ahead.
All right, I'll throw mine on the ground too then.
That's better.
No, what I was saying is we try to find kids to go every year and just gives us a reason to get out there early and chase birds. And also it's a fun experience, especially some kids that have never been or, don't really have the experience or knowledge that we have gathered over the years. So it's a pretty good time.
Yeah, and we usually try and take two because with the amount of this year we actually took three with Adam.
Yeah.
So usually we'll split off into two pairs or pairs. And so me and Max took a kid and Landon and Spencer took a kid.
The weather was tough though. And well, we were so busy too, we didn't get much scouting or anything in, and it was a pretty tough. Actually, the youth that we took last year as well.
Yeah.
And
Justin.
I didn't realize that he was still
a youth.
able. Yeah, I thought he was probably 16, but he was 15. So he called like a week and a half before season started, and he's like, "Can you take me this year?" And I'm like, aren't you 16? He was like, "No, I don't turn 16 till," it was like midsummer. I was like, damn, I didn't realize. I was like, yeah, we can take you. So I was like, I haven't scouted nothing, and we just kind of went out there on the fly, but the weather just wasn't the best at all. The wind was blowing.
Oh, it was blowing 100 miles an hour.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, so we started, which we don't actually have, like, ourself private-wise, like, we don't actually have a whole lot of ground to turkey hunt. Like, I guess we really don't either.
No, between me and you, we don't.
So turkey-wise, me and Landon don't have a whole lot of stuff locked down. We have some stuff here and there, and then we got a lot of other people that were gracious enough that they take us on their places if we need to. So for one of our youths, we always hunt public almost every year, and it seems like we always almost kill a bird every year. We either get really close or we kill a bird on public with a youth every single year. So it was, no different this year. We hunted a different piece than we've hunted in the past, but excuse me. So we went out. Well, I guess there's a whole truckload of us. We had like 6 of us because we were all splitting up in different areas
We went out the night before, Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night, and
we
listen.
We tried to roost some birds, and the birds were hammering for roosting birds. Sometimes I feel like whenever you go roost birds, you might not hear nothing at all, or you might hear one bird, and come in the next morning and there's 10 of them gobbling.
Yeah, we stepped out of the truck, and it was no sooner than we stepped out of the truck, I was like, oh, bird, right? We heard birds fire off instantly.
Yeah, and it was a good sign for sure. I think you guys you guys went in there and set up on them the next morning, and for whatever reason they weren't. Well, the coyotes were going wild that night too. I don't know if they bumped them or.
Yeah, it was weird. So we step out of the truck, they fire off, and then me and you walked up to about, I don't know, we were still probably we were probably 300 yards from them, and they were off in the timber, and we were kind of sitting on the backside of a field edge, so they'd never seen us. I mean, we were never within eyesight of them, but I mean, it sounded like there was probably 3 or 4 birds in there.
At least.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, perfect. Like, in the morning, there's a chance I go to private, but the field that we were on a public, I thought there was a really good chance we break off a Jake or something for, the youth to shoot, a Jake or one of the Longbeards. But,
yeah, and for this youth, he was 15, but he'd never killed a bird before.
Yeah, never. Yeah, he had never
been.
Yeah, never. So the whole time we were kind of, telling him things, and I expected. I told him going into it, I said, obviously we're not hunting private. I said, I don't have a bird that's like, yeah, he's going to pitch down. We're going to shoot him at, 6:30. Damn dog. And so, me and Max were just kind of teaching him stuff along the ways of like, do's, don'ts, and kind of, as the morning, well, I guess I'll get into it. But so we showed up that morning, made a whole game plan. We're going to come in here on Onyx, boom, put a pin. We're going to sit right here. We should be in the chips. Sneak in real early, get there, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously we had like 40 minutes to wait before it got, light enough for stuff to gobble. And we wanted to make sure we were in on this public early anyway. So we sat there, nothing. Finally, a bird fires off, and it's way, way behind us on private. We waited a little longer. A couple more birds fired off, all on private. And the birds we heard the night before never gobbled at all. It was weird. They either never gobbled or they weren't there. And I mean, we were like, well, maybe they're just silent this morning. So we sat down there for probably an hour and just called, and everything pitched down. All the birds that we heard distant wise all pitched down. They were hammering on the neighbor's private, but everything, there was nothing where they were the night before. So I don't know what happened between, whenever we got out of the truck, if they weren't in the trees yet and the coyotes really bumped them, and that was them gobbling on the private is my theory, I guess.
Very possible.
Because they weren't entirely that far roosted from private anyways, but they were,
they were on the line.
Yeah, they were on the line, and they pitched down to the. They were way onto the private that morning.
Good morning.
So we called at a bird, and we had a bird come within about 100 yards and just kind of look around, and he went off over the hill to the birds gobbling on the private. So we were like, well, let's just walk up to the fence. We'll see if we can't glass and see what the birds are doing on private. And sure shit, we walked up to the fence line, and Max kind of reaped up there first with the reaper just so he could, look and say, okay, I see, here's what I see, whatever. That way, when he came back, we could tell, our youth, Trenton, like, oh, this is what we see. Like, this is kind of what we're going to do in different scenarios. And Max comes back and's like, yeah, just walk up there and look. And there were 7 of them strutting like just in the middle of the private field. And so we got up there, and he was able to kind of put my binos up on them and look at them. And, he said he had never heard like turkey hunt. He'd never been turkey hunting, so he'd never heard like, he had heard farm birds gobble and stuff, but nothing like what we were hearing. And yeah, so they were all kind of strutting in circles around a couple hens, and so it was neat just for him to be able to.
And you said you guys had them fired up, didn't you?
Yeah, they were fired up on the private. I mean, Nothing got hammered on the public or whatever, but they were fired up on the private, and they kind of worked away. So it was kind of that point in the morning where it's like, all right, it was like 9:00, and we were like, well, we'll go, kind of that dead time, but maybe a bird fired up on, and this piece of public's huge. So we were like, let's just go walk to another couple fields that we know. We'll set up, make a couple calls, and just wait, hour here, 2 hours here. We had all day to hunt. So go in, we get back to the truck, driving to this next field, and there's a piece of private kind of in the middle of the public, and throw binos up, one strutter with a couple hens, and He was again close to public, but it's like they just know that public private line. So
I'm sure because they get pressured a lot harder on one side than the other.
yeah, I mean obviously, but
they gotta know.
yeah. So I threw the truck in reverse. I'm like, well, let's back up. We can maybe be able to call him onto public. Throw the truck in reverse. Throw the binos back up, and there's 3 more long-beards all strutting with another group of hens on the private. And I'm like, God, we're like, there's plenty of birds. It's just a matter of getting them in the right time frame to get them across the fence, or they be in the right spot to call them down to you first thing in the morning. So we ended up sitting like watching these birds for a little bit, and they broke away. It was probably 10 o'clock. They broke away from their hens, and we were like, all right, perfect. They were kind of angling towards public. Did a big loop around them. Max sees them. Like, yep, they're coming up to the public fence line. So we backed up, sat up on them, called for probably an hour and a half. Nothing gobbled. Nothing came up. And so Max had to go around noon. So he ended up kind of just reaping back up, got up glass, and weren't on any of the private. And we never could see them on any of the public. So I don't know where they ended up going, but they never came in. But luckily, whenever Max left, we went to Casey's to get something to eat, because the boy was hungry and I was hungry and he needed something to drink. And so go to Casey's, get something to eat. And that's when Brendan texted us and said, oh, if you guys are hunting public, he's like, hell, I could probably, sacrifice a birdie. So I come out and hunt my place. So that's where our 2 stories kind of joined up. But I guess you're going to have to tell yours before we get to that point.
Yeah, we went out early. We hunted private that Spencer had scouted. And the boy that we took, it's where he lived. There were 2 birds on it, but where they were roosted the morning Spencer scouted, they were roosted like completely on a different hillside the morning we went, because we set up for them being like in front of us, and they were roosted directly behind us. But they roosted kind of on a bluff, and they gobbled quite a bit, but they weren't gobbling at any calls. And the only thing they really gobbled at is whenever the hoot owl went off, and they ended up flying the river. So they roosted on a bluff, and there's a river that basically is the property line, and they flew the river into the bottom. We watched them strut over there, and there was nothing we could do from there. So we were kind of shit out of luck on that spot. And
yeah,
this year it's been so warm. I mean, they have a big top ridge that's got wheat in it, but it's been so warm that the wheat's already knee high or over.
Yeah,
already at 1st of April. So it kind of pushed a lot of the birds out of it, and I think that's why they flew the river, got down into the other bottoms across there that were
where they could strut a little bit.
Yeah, where I think the bottoms down there were pretty well just planted or sprayed because they were pretty bare.
Right.
And so we kind of gave up on that spot and went to a new spot, and the wind had really picked up. I mean, we probably hit the new spot about 8:30. And we swung by Casey's too. Got us some Casey's pizza. I think maybe some chocolate milk and
chocolate.
Yeah, I forget what else we got, but anyway, we hit up Casey's and got all the good, delicious, healthy stuff that we typically get. And
the Midwest breakfast.
Yeah, that's right.
Chocolate milk, Casey's pizza.
Typical turkey breakfast. But we went to the spot, and the wind had picked up so much. Whenever we got there, we just kind of sat in the truck, and it's on top of a big hill, and you kind of look over the bottom from the truck. And we sat there and ate our breakfast in the truck, and I was telling Justin, the boy we took, I was like, man, I just, I don't know what we're going to do, where we're going to start. I'm like, it's just so windy.
Turkey hunting in wind is just tough. It's tough. It's not a fun hunt.
No, and it takes patience, and that's one thing with the kids. It's not all of them are very patient.
Yeah, that's what. Whenever we take the use, I like having you want the exciting, like that. The hunt that gets them hooked, like
the gobbling and
the hammering,
calling, and they're coming in, putting on the show.
Working birds. And
it just wasn't that kind of day or weekend, really. We
were deer hunting them almost.
Yeah,
just waiting to see one in a field, or you were set up with decoys and they were gonna come in silent. Probably.
You just had to be patient. We were sitting there and we were just in the truck and kind of eating, just kind of talking and this and that, and happened to look out to the left, and Spencer's like, "Oh, there's a hen in the field," and a hen had walked off the hillside and was down there feeding in this wheat, and they had a fresh field of corn that they just planted, so it was just turned over dirt. She was kind of feeding towards that, and she was by herself for a good 10, 15 minutes, and we just sat in the truck and kind of watched her, and we're kind of thinking of what we were going to do, and about that time a longbeard came off the hill, and he started strutting down there, and he was behind her quite a ways, but he started strutting and different things, and so at that point I was thinking, well, I don't really know what we're going to do. You can see him from the truck. He's probably 250, 300 yards from us over the hill, and I'm like, I don't really know. We just watched him. Well, he was headed towards that hen, and they were headed towards that disc field. So I told Justin, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we're going to get out of the truck, and we're going to make a mad dash over the opposite side of the hill. And we're going to loop around. The field kind of made an L shape. I was like, we're going to get on the far point of it, and we're just going to try. They were headed basically down the field, and we were going to come from this side and meet at a point.
Right.
And so I was afraid of getting out of the truck, though, and them spooking, but he never did. I got out of the truck. The only thing I grabbed was our reaping decoy, and we made a mad dash over the hill, and Spencer was behind the camera, and we made it down and over the hill and got into the field, and I hadn't seen him break the corner yet, and so we took our time, but I made it pretty quick, and we got all the way up to kind of the point, really, and there was just a little rise in the field. When we got all the way to the point, I had kind of looked and didn't see anything, and so I told Justin there, I'm like, I'm going to stand completely straight up with the decoy, and I'm like, I'm going to try to look over that rise. And so I stood all the way up, and I was looking, and I didn't see nothing. About that time I caught him. He was kind of on the edge of the woods, and at first I thought I'd spooked him or that he was headed the other way, and so I slowly got back down, and I told him, I was like, all right, you follow me right here. And Spencer sat right at the corner. There was a fence right at the corner there, and Spencer sat right there with this video, and then I went a little farther, and then I kind of got up on my knees and just poked up. I couldn't see him at all at that point, and then I just caught a head. There was like a little, there was a hill between us, but he was in a dip. There was a dip on the other side of it as well.
Right.
And I just seen his head, and I was like, oh, hell, there he is. And I kind of thought it once again. I was like, damn, I hope I didn't spook him. And so I just kind of stayed standing up there, and then he went into full strut. And then I laid back down. I told Justin, I said, get ready, he's coming. And it felt like forever. It was probably really only 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But I just laid down, and I was waiting on him to break that little rise in the field.
Yeah.
And like I said, I kept looking and kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, man, if it was me, I probably would have crawled up a little, just
a little farther,
see him. But I was just, both of us behind that in a dirt field. And I'm like, I told Justin, I was like, he's going to be in range if he comes over the hill, but he's probably going to spot both of us. So be ready. And all of a sudden I looked to the left, and here he come. He strut up and over the hill, but he knew something was up pretty quick, and he kind of turned around, started slowly working away. And that's when I told Justin, I was like, can you kill him? Can you kill him? And he did. And he put a good shot, and that it was a heck of a bird.
Yeah, say it was a big ass bird.
It was one of the biggest birds that I've been a part of. We went up there, and it had some good sharp spurs to it. They weren't like overly big spurs. Had a heck of a beard, but the weight is what really got me. I picked that thing up, and I was like, holy, and that's what Spencer said too. He's like, damn, he's like, that's a heavy bird. And that's when I was like, well, we're gonna have to weigh him, because he topped the scale at 28.6 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big bird.
So yeah, big bird. But it was a good time. Justin, he was pretty damn excited for his last youth season, and the people that stay in the house there come down, and they had a boy that was 4 years old, and he was looking at the bird, and so we kind of got everyone involved, and we took our time, took some pictures, and pictures turned out really good. And then we ended up getting back in the truck, headed back to his house, and got him back with his dad was waiting on us, and so helped him clean the bird, and then it was noon or something, and
It was about 12:30.
I was talking to Brendan, and shout out to him, super nice guy and one hell of a hunter. And he was nice enough. He said, I got plenty of birds. And he said, especially, for a youth, he said, I'll sacrifice one to, bring him on over, which we were grateful for. So
he sent us a pin and I got there first.
Yeah.
We were about 12 or 15 minutes away.
Yeah. And me and Spencer, the kid Justin that we took, lived right next to Spencer, and so we ran up to Spencer's house. We were going to eat some lunch, and Spencer had like hamburgers or something going, and that's when you called and was like, "There's a bird out here already. Get over here!" And I had the reaping decoy and everything, and you were like, "You need to get over here now." And so I told Spencer, I was like, hell with them hamburgers. Get in the truck. We got to leave. And only one of us, Brendan had some blinds set up, so only one of us was going to go over there. I was actually dropping Spencer off. He was going to stay home, and I was going to come sit in the blind and help film, and we were going to spend the rest of the evening hunting over there. And I told Spencer I was getting the damn truck and whatever, and he was like, our hamburgers are not done yet. And I was like, well, turn them off on the stove.
Fuck
we got to
them
go.
burgers.
Yeah, that's what I said. Turn them off. We got to go. So anyway, we ran inside, turned his hamburgers off, and me and him got in the truck. Well, then you called us and was like, oh, we lost him. Can't see him no more. And I was like, oh, damn. Well, then whenever then you were like, oh, no, I see him again. And then you didn't see him.
It was weird, like where we were parked on the hill, you can like see the bottom, see up a hill, and see kind of back down the next ridge. So you can see a lot of the property. And so as soon as I pulled up, I threw binos up, seen him. And I was just going to watch him till you guys got there. But they were just pecking around midday. There was two birds. I could tell one was a longbeard. Whether the second one was or not, I couldn't really tell because he was farther into the dip. But
I was not doing the speed limit on my way there.
The first one was, and he was in a very, very easy killable place. Like we could have walked up, set up, been right on him, but ended up losing him.
I was making it as quick as I could, and by the time I showed up, they were gone or had disappeared. So we ended up, all of us decided, we were like, well, let's just go up the hill. We'll sit on top of the hill and we'll wait. They kind of roost in that area every night. And so we were like, we'll just go up and sit on top of the hill. Well, me and Spencer were starving. And
the wind was blowing 200 knots.
Oh, it was crazy. So we got up on this hill and we sat for a long time. And I give it to Trenton, the youth that we took. He was pretty patient for a while, and it blew our decoy over like twice. We kept having to get up, and we were sitting in just you could see a long way, and we have like 10 or 12 deer.
Yeah, a bunch of deer out. I mean,
the whole day they
were. Yeah, we were calling a little bit, but when you get in wind like that, I mean, it's just you're hoping and praying that one just sticks its head up and sees your decoy in the field. Is all
we were. I mean.
So it kind of sucked, and we were telling Trenton at the time, I was like, I know this isn't like, we're just sitting, like, I know it's not the most exciting thing, like, sometimes this is just what it takes or whatever. Well, finally, we all kind of got...
Well, we saw we had two hens, and then we had some more hens and what we thought was a jake or something on that hillside for a while.
Yeah.
But they just kind of worked away and different things, and I bet we sat there from...
We sat there for like
I'd say 1 to
4:30.
I'd say 1 to 5.
Yeah, so it was something like that because we sat there a long time where he was getting antsy.
Yeah, he was kind of we hadn't seen much, and he was like, actually, Brendan had told us where we were all just sitting
on the ground,
and he had this blind over the hill, but since there was 4 of us, we just went up there and sat on the hill, and so. that morning, Brendan had said that there was a longbeard within 20 yards of that blind strutting all morning. And so we were kind of like, well, we'll work back down there and just get in that blind for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, and so hopefully come back to roost.
Come back to roost or whatever. And so we went back to the truck. Spencer decided he was going to get in the truck and just drive the road and just kind of do some scouting from the road, let us know what was moving.
Yeah, and then me and you were going to film, call, and sit with Trenton in the blind.
We got our stuff from the truck, and we worked all the way down the ditch, or what was a creek. We worked all the way down the creek. Actually, you were in the blind.
I was in the blind, set my chair down, and my phone was buzzing. I was
trying to cross the fence with the youth. I had all kinds of stuff in my hand, and I thought you were going to set your stuff down and come back and help us cross the fence. And Trenton stood on the side of the fence for a while too.
Yeah,
I looked at him and was like, maybe he's not going to help. So I set my stuff down, took his gun, helped him cross the fence, and then you came out, or I heard you on the phone in the blind.
Yeah, I was half-ass pissed because my phone was ringing. I was like, who the hell's calling me? And I pulled it out, and it was Spencer. You're not going to like this, but there's two birds up right where we just left. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, right where we were just sitting. There's for sure one of them's a longbeard. And I was like, well, all right. You know what, like, go back up there, or like, what do you think, like, which way is it working? And he said well, they're kind of working away, you better hurry up and go back up there. So we had to get all of it, well, not all of the stuff, we weren't even in the blind yet, but I just left the blind how it was, and I was like, all right, here's the deal, whatever, birds back up there. And again, it was in a perfect place where we could go straight up the hill, throw the reaper up, and the birds should have been right there.
Yeah, but I took my vest off. We ran up the hill, got the reaper. We were sitting on the fence basically exactly where we were and couldn't see no birds at all. And you were on the phone with Spencer, and I was like, where are they at? And like, we couldn't see them or anything. And then Spencer was sitting on the road, and a guy pulled up to talk to him because he was curious or was wondering about, where. So Spencer was sitting on the road, and you were on the phone with him. We were trying to figure out where them birds were, and he had a guy stop and ask him, just was curious what he was doing. Just check him out. Didn't know what he was doing on the road. And so he was being nice, talking to the guy. Oh, we're just hunting and different things. And anyway.
Geese on the podcast.
We got our dog sitting here and up on the mic.
Hey.
Say something.
What do you got to say?
Hey, don't lick it. Tell us. Tell us what you think. Oh, she's going to jump up on the table. No.
Stay.
So Spencer was talking to this guy, and I was not getting mad, but I was like, all right, I'm trying to figure out where these birds are at. He's telling me they're exactly where we were. I'm sitting exactly where we were, and I don't see them at all. There's just enough of the like a rise in the back of the field that they were in the very back, and we just couldn't see them at all. So finally, they did. We spotted one, and it was the longbeard, and then there was two other birds, and Spencer was...
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Bad dog.
That's not a good dog. Spencer was telling us that the other one...
Hey, get off the table.
You got to be on the table.
Hey, stop.
Spencer was... Hey,
all right, you're going back on the ground.
Knock it off.
Come here.
That's not a good dog.
There, sit. Good dog. No, sit.
Lay down. Okay. What are you doing up here?
Hey, you leave it alone. You leave it alone. We don't like it. We don't like it.
We don't like the dog.
Get off the podcast. No dogs allowed. No dogs allowed. Hold on. Let me put this mug down.
Get your ass off the table.
All right. Intervention. Or intermission.
We ended up, we spotted the longbeard, and Spencer kept telling us that the other two birds he thought were smaller, but he couldn't really tell what they were. So I told Trenton, I'm like, I know you've never done this before, but the grass was tall enough I thought we could get away with it. I'm like, you're going to have to follow me. And so he did. He crawled right beside me, and we kind of inched out in the field. And at first, when I showed them the decoy, they didn't really care about it at all. And so I kind of kept going, and they just kind of kept walking to the right, just to the side of us. And I was like, what the hell? They didn't even...
Yeah, and I was sitting back before you even started going. I was sitting back about 20 or 30 yards behind where you had got at this point filming, and I still had Spencer on the phone in my bino harness. That way, the guy finally freaking left, so we could actually hear like where the bird was at. And Spencer kept saying, "Oh, they're cutting more to the right," or what they were doing. So then I could tell you guys. But finally, Spencer lost him because they were finally eye level with us.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him the whole time. I was far enough away from you, I couldn't really hear you at all. I was watching them, but the first bird, the longbeard, completely just went up over the hill, and then the two other birds, I couldn't tell what they were. I mean, they were male birds, but I couldn't tell if they were longbeards or not. They were working to the side there, and I just kept going a little bit, and they just didn't care. And so about that time, I got a little aggressive with them. I moved on them pretty quick, and then you cut that call to them, and whenever I looked up, it was like a flip of a switch. It was like, oh, they're coming. And I laid straight back down, and I told Trenton, I said, get ready, they're coming. And so... I was only focused on the two birds that I could see. The other bird had been gone for a minute.
Yeah, and it felt like forever because I kept waiting. I'm like, damn, they gotta be getting close. And I kept seeing Trent kind of move, and he'd kind of like shoulder his gun a little bit. And I'm like, all right, they gotta be getting close.
Well, he told me, he's like, you're gonna have to tell me what to do. And I was like, all right, just get ready. I'm like, and I made the mistake. I told him, I was like, well, I'll tell you, when to shoot. Because some people, when they're reaping them, the birds, especially when they're running at you, they get too excited. And
they just freak out, get nervous.
Yeah, they shoot too early, or, just something happens. And so these two birds were coming, and they were running pretty quick. And the main problem was they were both neck and neck with each other. And I thought, he's going to
shoot and kill them
both. So I was on the left side of the decoy, he was on the right, and I was just only focused, these two birds, and I was trying not to look as much as I could, and I was trying to get him there, and he was like, well, where are they coming from? And I was like, well, they're coming, pretty dead straight on.
Right.
And so I was just watching them the whole time, and they were running. They were probably about 40 yards. To me, it's hard to judge when you're on the ground, but they were probably 40 yards. Their heads were just neck and neck, and he said, can I shoot? And I told him, I said, no. I said,
but just right before this, they kept waiting, and I was like, I'm going to just cut another call. I'm going to just cut another call real quick.
You cut a call. Yeah. You cut a call as I picked up and moved pretty quick.
Yeah. With
and it gobbled.
Yeah. It hammered. And that's when I looked over, and I told Spencer, I said, oh shit. I said, he's literally right here. And all I seen was just, he literally dropped strut, and hell, he wasn't 20 yards from me. Drop strut and just comes steamrolling straight.
Yeah,
up.
I know. But it come from way from the right, which is where the boy was. And I had my head tucked in the grass just watching these two birds coming from basically a little bit to the left. And so when he asked me, he said, can I shoot? And I said, and I clearly thought he was talking about these two birds, and I said no. I said let them get closer. They're coming, and I didn't realize. And later on in the video, the longbeard come in and was literally like 2 yards from us.
Yeah,
and he never shot because I guess I told him not to because I didn't see the bird at all. About that time, the longbeard got to the left side of the decoy, and I'm pretty sure that his tail feathers like tickled my chin.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, holy, I don't even know what I said. Probably words I shouldn't have said around a kid, but I was like, it just scared me damn near because I never seen him coming. And he ran to the left, and then I was kind of like, what the hell? He was going to jump on the decoy. And so these other two birds were still working right to us, and they got within about 20, 25 yards, and they broke up a little bit. And I told Trent, I said, can you kill one? And he did. Shot the one, and he
rolled it.
Yeah, he jellied it. And so anyway, getting up, he ended up shooting a Jake, and then I was kind of beating myself up about it. One hell of a hunt, especially for his first hunt. But I was kind of beating myself up about it because I should have known, or I should have been looking more, but I was just trying not to move, and I was only focused on them two birds. And it was a big longbeard looking back at the video. But I also kind of put a little bit on him too. That was like, how much closer do you think that it was going to get? It was in our lap, and you can see in the video he's following it around with his gun.
Yeah, he follows it around for probably 5 seconds with his gun. You can see it in the video. And I was trying to be vocal enough to just say shoot. I kept going shoot. But obviously I could tell what was happening.
I was focused on just those two birds, and that's all I could see. I didn't realize that the other one had went over the hill for 5 minutes before the other two, and
right.
He happened to come away from the right, and I just never seen him. But I never seen him until it was too late. He crossed to the left there, but I just thought that Trenton he's 15. He's been deer hunting some, just never turkey hunting. He shoots a shotgun a lot. He does a lot of skeet shooting and stuff, and I clearly thought like he would have just known it was that close. He would have shot.
Yeah, just being a first-time turkey hunter.
I take the blame on it because when I asked him, he was like, "Well," he was like, "I was waiting on you to tell me when," and I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll take the blame for it." But we were still super happy. I mean, it was his first bird, and he
was excited just to kill.
He was telling us, this is the funnest hunt I've ever been on, and I was like, made me feel pretty good, even though I kept apologizing to him. I'm like, sorry, buddy. You had a big long beard way closer than the birds that we shot, and I goofed it up. I didn't tell him. But it ended up being a really good evening. Tagged out for the evening, even despite the wind. And, we were trying to tell him the whole time, and he was being patient. And I'm like, man, it can change, and just
that's all it takes. I mean,
so
it's honestly probably a good thing that all four of us weren't sitting up there and that bird come in, because we didn't have the best hide, especially with him. I knew he.
No, it was just open fence row, and
so it was probably a blessing in disguise that we all just decided, hey, let's get up. And looking back on it now, I'd say what happened was them birds probably just went literally right into that timber block when it was windy or whatever. They probably just walked right in that timber and were scratching around eating. And then it had just got to the time of day where the sun started to go down, started to cool off a little bit. The wind started slowing down a little bit. So
I don't think it ever really slowed down.
But
they might have slowed down from 60 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour.
They just come rolling.
But it kind of taught him a lesson too, because we kept telling him like, hey, just, be patient. Like anything can happen in just, the blink of an eye. And, he was kind of getting impatient, which he was patient for a long time, a lot longer than most kids. And so, which you're proud of him for doing that. But it also kind of showed him that like, he was ready to get up and move, and the birds were within, damn near our eyesight of it. They were in the field. So it just shows like, sometimes, you can never be too patient, like wait it out. But it ended up working just fine, and got him a bird. So we went 2 for 2 on Saturday, and then Adam had a boy to take on Sunday, and they went to public that Adam had scouted and had a heck of a hunt.
I wish we had him on to tell it, but pretty well. I mean, we know how it happened.
Yeah, it was the kid's very first hunt.
I think it was his dad. It may even have been his dad's first time going too.
They don't really hunt at all. They own a gun store, but never hunted. And so Adam offered to take him. The kid, it was our youngest kid. He was 8, and
we were very, very concerned that he was really. We had him shooting a 410,
but he was very scared to shoot.
Yeah.
So I was kind of concerned, but
he shot it a couple times at target practicing.
Yeah, but it kind of freaked him out.
Yeah, but it scared him, and I wasn't there, but Adam said they had ear protection on him, and sometimes the kids just don't like that percussion of it, but he still wanted to go. He just didn't know if he wanted to shoot.
Yeah, and I think Adam had kind of talked into it and was like, it just the experience of hearing the birds gobble and hopefully seeing some and just getting out there, maybe it changed his mind. So they got out there, and I give it to Adam. They hiked a long way in, but Adam's like a pack mule. He packed he packed the blind, chairs and decoys, everything in. So they got in there, set up a blind up in this bottom field. And
what are you hitting on?
Nothing.
I can hear a bunch of rustling on the mic.
Oh, I don't know. So anyway, they were sitting there and they heard quite a few gobbles and stuff, but out of all the things that Adam was packing or bringing, when he got in the blind, he didn't have any of his calls. Didn't have any calls at all. So they just kind of sat there, and they had some jakes and stuff work out in the field. And actually, they had a jake that was like within shooting distance, but it had like the smallest, like very little beard popping out. And Adam said, "No, there's been a ton of longbeards in here. Like, called them up. Like, we're just gonna,
we're gonna wait.
We're gonna wait." And Adam said, like, as he said that, and he turned around and looked, like this longbeard came out from behind him, came in, like ran by him, and was kicking the decoy, and kicked the decoy over. And I think they watched it for a little bit.
Yeah, I think they did. But whenever it come out, that's when the kid was really ready to
do. Yeah, and he had the gun, and Adam said, "Well, take your time, And yeah, that 410, I think it was 15, 20 yards, and
he whammied it.
Yeah, he blasted it. So anyway, it was a heck of a bird, big long beard, and the kid was hooked. They actually FaceTimed me, and the kid was super excited. He was telling me, "Hey, look, didn't know me at all, but he was telling me on the phone, I wanted to call and, look what I got." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome, buddy. Proud of you." And he was super excited. And I think the dad and them were too, because they'd never.
Yeah, I don't think he'd ever been. Or if he had, like it's been a long time since he had been, because.
And they killed at like 7:30, no calls or nothing. It just all worked out perfect. So it was a heck of a hunt. And I ended up going over there later that evening and talking to Adam and stuff about it, and looking at some of the pictures he took, and it just ended up being we went 3 for 3, all 3 kids that we had to take, despite the bad weather and stuff. And we actually had quite a few people wanting to go this year. So we kind of have a pretty good streak going on of.
Youth wise, it seems like we always do well.
Yeah.
So we probably had 6 kids that wanted to go this year. We just couldn't find. And the thing that really hurt us is me and you couldn't go Sunday because we had to work.
Yeah, we only had Saturday.
We had to work on Sunday for a farmer that lets us turkey hunt, actually. So we had to sacrifice one day for our season. Yeah. But it'll be
which worked out fine, because we tagged out on Saturday, and
Adam got to go Sunday.
Was able to go Sunday. So it worked out really good. Went 3 for 3, heck of a way to start the season. Got some really good video.
Yep.
Super cool stuff. We're gonna put a video together on it. And then we were in Iowa last weekend.
Yeah.
I had an Iowa tag.
Started our actual season off.
But work's been so crazy. We were supposed to leave on Thursday night. We didn't even end up well, then we were going to leave Friday at noon, and then we didn't end up leaving until Friday
at midday.
4.
We made it up there right in time, though.
That's because I didn't do the speed limit, because we were trying to roost birds and we were flying up there. So got up there. We got up there just in the literally the nick of time. Yeah, and it ended up working really well. We heard a few birds gobbling, nothing on anything we could hunt, but we ended up just happened to spot a bird and watch them roost.
Yeah, we were driving back to the house to just say, well, let's just listen from Alan's house, and ended up on the way back just seen the bird. Yeah, and ended up calling the guy and got permission on it.
Well, the bird actually roosted like 3 trees behind the house.
Yeah, but it was. It was pretty well. It was right on the net, right on the fence line.
So got permission to hunt it. Snuck in there, and we only had 2 days to get it done in Iowa.
Yeah,
and our tag was no good. Or no good after the 2 days. So
so we were planning on hunting that bird Saturday morning. If that didn't work out, Sunday we were going to.
I wanted to get in
Drake.
We wanted to get in there tight with them. So we were set up in the field at 4:50.
Yeah,
and we watched darkness for a while, but started getting light out, and a bird hammered right behind us.
I'd say within 150 yards.
Yeah, 150 yards. And then a bunch more birds started firing off, and we heard a lot of birds up there. But the ones in front of us that we had roosted, didn't hear them for a while, and I was kind of getting worried that maybe something had bumped them, or the bird that was behind us maybe had flushed it down, and we actually heard 2 birds fly up. But we were positive. Well, we knew the one was a longbeard for sure, so we were pretty positive the other one probably was too. And it took a long time. It got really light out, and these other birds have been gobbling for a while. And finally, they lit off, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
they were right where we thought they were.
There they are."
We had walked within
when we walked down
20 yards from.
Yeah, when we walked down the hill, we were within 20 yards of them before we set up, and we were set up in the bottom down there, and it's pretty uncomfortable because there's no big trees down there to set against. So we're literally setting against a cedar, and you can't, it's no good backrest to lay into it. And we'd sat in the dark for an hour and a half. So I was getting antsy, uncomfortable, but I just knew we needed to stick it out. And it was some of the most gobbling I've heard in a while.
Yeah. I was going to say it.
I mean, they were on fire.
Just the position we were sitting in was kind of weird because like, with there not being any big trees, we were sitting right on a fence, but there was a cedar tree and then a bunch of damn thorn trees. So I was sitting in a thorn tree trying to film, and the angle was just really weird. So where the birds were gobbling and coming from, I couldn't even film them coming because of how the tree setup was. And Alan was sitting in another position, that way we could potentially shoot 2 birds.
We were kind of looking over the field the way. Just it was kind of weird how it happened, and there's not a whole lot of cover there other than locust or cedar.
Yeah, that was all that was
we just,
there.
Had to make it work, and so the birds actually, when they flew down, I watched them fly out of the tree, and they hit the field, and I immediately thought like, oh yeah, they're probably hit the field and come running over something. And Alan goes, they're going the opposite direction. And
I know. When he said that, I was like, what the hell?
I was like, no way. And then he called a little more, but the one behind us was,
No, one behind us was on. He was coming. He was hammering.
He was coming. You could tell he was on the ground. Yeah. He was coming. Some birds from our right were getting closer, and the birds in the field, they just kind of, I guess, sat out there for a while. Alan kind of lost them, but you could just hear them gobbling out there.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got pretty crazy there because we had a hen coming to us from the right, but then the bird behind us was coming on a string, but there was a big
thick ditch.
Yeah, thick ditch. That
little creek drainage.
We didn't
kind of
know if he'd cross or not. But he was back there gobbling. But when he would gobble, the birds in the field would gobble. And so it was almost like, they were both going back and forth at each other. And Alan was like, this bird behind us, like he's going to do it. He's coming. And the last time that I heard the birds gobble that were in the field that we were in, I was like, I leaned over to him and was like, I think these birds are going to like beat them in. Because you could just hear that like rumble in their chest. And then that's when Alan was like, yeah, they're right here. And you could hear them drumming and all. And so he was like, oh, they're coming. But we had a DSD strutter Jake out with a laydown hen and another hen, just like an upright hen. And they come in, but they kind of took their time. They were kind of like 3/4 strut almost.
Yeah, they didn't want no smoke.
They didn't want no smoke at all. Their heads weren't like bright red, or they weren't really fired up. They were just really curious. Like they kind of come walking in, and once I kind of got to that certain point, I was like, oh yeah, I can kill any of them now, And I was just trying to make sure, like, are they long beards? And once I seen they both had heck of beards on them.
Yeah, they both had big beards.
And so they come in, and the one never stopped, just walked right by the decoys.
Yeah, part of me thought he was going to walk past and then kind of loop back around, how they do, and just kind of strut up to the back. But I honestly think he had just kept walking.
Yeah, he just walked by him. And then the other one kind of paused when he was behind the strutter, and then he come around the backside of the strutter, and he kind of...
Yeah, 3/4 strutted.
Yeah, 3/4 strutted a little bit, and then he instantly just dropped strut, and he stuck his head up just as high as he could, and I just busted his beak right there, and...
he wasn't going to do anything fancy. Just, I don't know if he's just subordinate bird and he ended up being a big bird. Probably,
yeah. We were
3 or 4 year old bird.
We were thinking after I shot him, we were like, oh, it's probably a 2-year-old bird, but no, we got up there and he had some damn good hooks on him. It ended up being a really big bird, so I'm not really sure if they just I don't know.
There are so many birds gobbling around, though. I think they probably just subordinate birds.
Yeah.
There had to be some big toms.
Yeah,
in there,
they were just not.
and
hot.
he had been spurred in his breast.
He
was all
did
jacked
yeah,
up.
he did have a spur mark or something in his breast there, that spot that I cut out. But yeah, he must have not just been. He wasn't the top on the pecking order, so by any means. So anyway, I shot a bird. The bird behind us ended up being strutting right across the creek, so it was pretty cool. He went on, and we got out there, did some the rest of our video stuff, and took some really good pictures of my bird.
Yep.
And so it was only 6:30, and birds were still gobbling while we were doing that. And so, yeah, it worked out well. First time turkey hunting in Iowa, and filled my tag first.
Yeah, it's a success.
Yeah, first morning right away, and we had the rest of the weekend to hunt. But unfortunately, I mean, no sooner we got my bird and we got it tagged, and it was gonna be 80 some degrees that day, and so we went and cleaned it at the house, and then we were off to find another bird. And by then the wind had kind of it's youth season or been here, the wind got way out of control,
blowing 25 miles an hour.
It was just made it tough, and we didn't have any luck from there. The conditions just kicked our butt.
Yeah,
and so saw different some different birds. We just couldn't make it happen, and so we headed home, and our season opened Monday, and so we're 2 days into Missouri season, and it's been tough. Opening day was
probably I'd say it was the worst, toughest or worst
opening day.
Yeah, opening days.
I hunted with Max, and I've been hunting with Max on opening day for the last
10, 15 years.
Yeah, ever since I could remember, and it seems like we had pretty good odds tagging a bird first day.
Yep.
And Max had scouted his farm several times, had 3 strutters several times where he'd have to go get in the house, and they'd be strutting in the front yard, gobbling just in the front yard of the house. And so I had my hopes up, but we got down there and started getting light out, and man, the birds were quiet, or they just weren't there. It was pretty rough. We hunted till noon, and we had some jakes come in, 5 jakes, I believe. And they just wouldn't leave. I think the jake bred the decoy, tried to breed the decoy 5 different times. We couldn't get rid of them, but we didn't even hear a bird close, and it was just rough. And you guys,
me and Spencer were no different. I mean, the farm we hunted, I had never hunted. Spencer hunted it as a kid a little bit, but perfect area. I mean, as far as turkey hunting farm goes, one of them farms you'd think would just have longbeards all over it. And he'd been getting pictures of
a lot of birds.
Yeah, a lot of birds, a lot of jakes, and a longbeard here and there. And I thought, well, it's a pretty big farm. We'll get in and listen. So climbed up or walked into this high point, and somewhere where we could kind of work the whole farm just based on where we heard stuff. And I don't know, started getting light, and one bird fired off across the road, another bird fired off across another road, and it just kept going and going. There wasn't, I know there were jakes on there because we had a couple jakes on camera while we were standing there waiting, listening for birds, and we didn't hear a single bird on the whole property. So again, we were kind of like, well, I know there's birds here. It's just kind of where. Well, it's close to another buddy's farm. I heard 2 of them gobbling over there. Well, I didn't know they were hunting it that morning. So I was like, well, let's just kind of work down. We'll kind of work down towards them birds and see what they do, but we'll kind of call, listen, whatever. Ended up, I mean, we heard them gobble all the way, and then, Ty and Brad doubled on them. So, not bad, good.
There was a lot of people I seen killed birds opening day. I mean, a lot, way more than I normally see. And this year's the first year that you can hunt all day. Our season used to close down at 1. But a lot of people killed birds, and there was a lot of people said they were fired up. They just, for whatever reason, weren't in our area. We talked to a few neighbors, and same thing. I mean, they'd seen some birds in the field and just said that they weren't strutting, gobbling, or nothing. But
well, it's been 80, 90 degrees here the last couple of days.
It's been tough.
It's finally cooling off tonight, so
and the wind should die down, or hopefully he's going to die down soon. So, but I went this morning. Marcus, our cousin Gavin's buddy that we did some goose hunting with and stuff, he called me last night and said that he had roosted a bird for him and his buddy, and they just not that great at calling, or kind of didn't know what they were doing, and asked if I'd go, and I said, yeah, I'll go with you guys. So we got out there this morning, set up fairly close to him in a really good spot, and the bird started gobbling, and he was probably within 150 yards. I started cutting different calls, and he had some hens with him, and I was kind of like, this is going to get tough. But the hen, she was kind of cutting me off, and so I was yelping and then cutting back to her, and she would start yelping and cutting, and we just kind of went back and forth, and the tom eventually hit the ground, and I could tell it sounded like he didn't fly our way, but he really didn't. I don't necessarily think he went the other way. It's just kind of like he dropped out of the tree kind of where he was, and the hen was still in the tree. Well, I got her to fly to me, and so she flew over to us. And where we were sitting, we didn't have much cover at all. We were in a cattle pasture, really sitting by like the only cedar tree around. And I was sitting next to I don't even know what, a kind of shrubby tree that was next to the cedar there. And this bird was coming from behind us, and I thought, this is not going to be, I mean, like I said, we're in a bare open pasture sitting by a tree that has no cover. But it ended up working out really extremely well. The bird, once he hit the ground, he gobbled twice, and that was it. But I kept cutting out that hen, and she was cutting back and forth. And actually, I was sitting there, and the boy was kind of moving quite a bit, and all of a sudden I could hear him drumming.
Yeah.
And I didn't even want to turn around. I just stayed focused straight, but I just said it loud enough so they could hear. I was like, I could hear him drumming, like, do not move. And then I seen the safety go off, and the gun coming up, and I just kind of moved my eyes to the right, and the bird just run right by us just as fast as he could, run up and kick the decoy over. And I told the kid, I was like, well, hold on. I grabbed my phone out and was like, I'm going to video it. And I got my phone out, started videoing it, and I kept telling him, it was his kid's first bird. He never shot a bird before, so he kicked that DSD over, and he was all around it. And I was afraid that, like, the kid was, he was ready to shoot any time. And I kept telling him, like, do not shoot my decoy.
Yeah.
Like, do not shoot my decoy. I said, like, and then I heard him. He was like, will you tell me when? And I think the kid, he has to be 16, 17. He's not a youth, but so he did very well. He was like, will you just tell me when? And he got on top of that DSD, and he got that head going, and I told him, I said, you kill him whenever. And he did. He blasted him, and it ended up being a 2-year-old bird. Heck, and really nice beard. The spurs were probably an inch long, just just a regular 2-year-old.
No,
I kind of figured
beard.
he was, because he was fired up, and so ended up being a really, really good morning. We killed him at 6:20.
Yeah,
6:20,
early as hell.
6:26.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well. But other than that, it's been a pretty tough season for us so far.
Yeah, me and Spencer, even when we left that farm, said, well, piss on this. We got 2 other places we can go look, see if we get eyes on one. Drive it. I bet we didn't drive 5 minutes down the road. Big strutter, 3 hens sitting in the side of a field. Spencer's like, well, he's like, I've contacted this girl before, I'll pull in. Pulls in Spencer pulls this big ass truck in like 100 miles an hour in this lady's driveway, and she's just sitting, like, probably 80, 90-year-old lady with her little dog, her little Yorkie, like geese, sitting right up by her mailbox, and the lady's like, fucking big old eyes. And I thought we were gonna run her over, and Spencer gets out. You got a long beard out in your field. You mind if I kill it? And she goes, oh, go get him. And I was like, oh, what the hell? So I was like, oh, this is gonna be gravy. Like, she's like, just pull up in my driveway. Mm-hmm. So we pulled up in her driveway, grabbed his gun, I grabbed the camera, grabbed the Reaper. I was like, shit, we're gonna break this. Well, she goes, well, I'm taking my dog for a walk, because she was at the end of her driveway, and I was like, oh, like, fuck, how far is she gonna walk? get right through this little gap of timber, get ready to throw the reaper up. And Spencer's like, oh, I see the hens. I don't see him yet. And just turn to our right and hear this old lady come strolling by with her dog right next to the field. Fuck birds, and they took off running.
Cleared the field.
Yeah, and I was like, what? I was like, what the hell are the odds that she walks this way out of all ways?
Every way.
She walked by, and I was like, what a bust. Like, anyways, we know if there's a bird out there, we could probably
kill it.
Yeah, possibly. And so whatever, we left, said thank you, and drove down the road to another one of Spencer's spots. Pull up. Oh, like 20 yards off the road, Spencer goes, oh, there's a hen. And then we turn around a little farther and kind of look down the ditch road, 2 longbeards sitting there. I'm like, oh, hell. Calls the guy, yeah, go ahead, whatever, go ahead. So we pulled back up, got in the ditch. I think we drove by. They were too close to the road. Either whenever we turned around, they ran across the road onto the guy's other side, or the wheat was so tall
they could have just hunkered down.
Well, whenever the hens poke their head up, you can only see like the eyeball and beak of the hen because his wheat's so tall. So yeah, we got across the creek, put the reaper out there, and whatever, cut a call, and it was like freaking just with binoculars, glass in the field. There was 3 hen heads that come up. Well, they'd come up, they'd go back down, come up. No, there was no longbeard head ever came up, so I don't even know where them went, but it was getting late, so we just backed out of them. So, I can't say worst, but the weirdest opening day we've probably had.
Yeah,
ever.
The first 2 days, really. I mean, it's if you don't kill them, right away, right off the roost in the morning, they're just quiet. You can't strike.
Yeah, there's
been
that and there's been so many people that have been like, in all honesty, I mean, I don't mean this in like a bad way, but they're like 90% of our friends that never killed birds.
Oh yeah,
day.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys I know that
are serious like killers.
Yeah, usually
did not kill opening
usually
day.
You can count on killing birds.
Yeah, it was weird.
Kind of the same thing. So it was kind of weird how it happened, but and it was cool to see all the people that killed birds opening day, and I was happy for some of them because some of them will hunt a few times and just not have any luck at all, and get kind of discouraged. So they definitely had some luck, and hopefully the weather's going to change here soon, so I think it's going to get pretty good. It's also a little different, too, where we're videoing and stuff. There's different times where I could probably go kill a bird myself, but just kind of waiting on someone to go film. And
yeah, and we got some cool stuff to go do.
Yeah, we got some different like connections and people we're just waiting to go hunt with, so should be pretty fun second week anyways. Yeah. And hopefully the weather's a lot better and we should make something happen. We also got tags still in Kansas and South Dakota, so we got a lot to look forward to still. We're only 2 days into season, so we got a lot to look forward to. But, well, yeah, I say we gotta wrap it up. We go to work early. We've been turkey hunting. My eyes are still about to itch out of my head, so everyone's put tired. Some eye drops in, get my allergies under control. I think that's why. I'm glad I hadn't sneezed here, because once I start sneezing, I'll sneeze 20 times in a row. Yeah. Oh. Jesus. All the pollen's thick around here. It's like everything's yellow outside. Yeah, we just had to get this one in, get her uploaded. You'll hear it on Thursday, so hopefully everyone has a good turkey season. I know a lot of our friends have killed birds, and it's been good for a lot of people, but been rough for a lot of other people so far. But a lot of season left. I know we got a lot more cool stuff coming down the line, so keep an eye out for a lot of that. If you can rate the show, that would be much appreciated. Like, comment, whatever platform you're on. Triple Beam Outdoors on Instagram, and the Main Beam Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, as well as Triple Beam Outdoors is on YouTube. We just dropped two turkey videos. Yeah. Yep. 2 turkey videos. We got Justin and Josh's from last year on there, and we're in the works of a couple more, so check them out. But other than that, big thank you to our title sponsor, HLRBO. If you guys go check them out, they got a bunch of
got a bunch of leases running right now, and right now is the best time to start looking for leases for deer season. If someone's in the mindset for a deer lease, it's need to be jumping on that. Here before long, once turkey season ends, it's going to be time to start getting some cameras back out and start getting some things rolling and getting in the mindset of deer hunting again. So check them out, hlrbo.com. They're across all 49, 50 states in Canada.
In Canada.
Yep. So check them out. We got our lowdowns in, the lowdown game viewers. We were going to have one set up. I'm going to try and get an SD card put together with like all of our biggest deer we've had pictures of on it and set it on the table. That way it kind of scrolls through it during the podcast just so everyone can see it. But if you're in the market for a trail cam viewer, this is probably the best trail cam viewer. It is the best trail cam viewer on the market. It's super simple. Pop a card in it and you can scroll through your pictures. It's extremely quick. It's like a little it's not even little. It's like a iPad, and it's super quick. You can go through pictures, and you can even throw a save card in it if you want to pull up to your camera, put the card in it, save them, pop it back in, or format it. It'll do everything on it. So we'll hopefully have Al on from Lowdown here soon to talk a little bit more about it. But check them out at lowdowngameviewers.com. Other than that, I think that's going to conclude episode 20.
I believe so. So next episode, we should have all the guys back in. And
yeah, everyone should be back.
Hopefully
it was kind
some
of
better turkey stories for our regular season here.
Yeah, and hopefully, like I said, we've talked to Brendan a little bit. We should have some interesting ones coming up. I think some Alaskan hunting stuff and some cool hunting adventures with Brendan.
Hopefully my eyes aren't still itching by then, because I really about to itch them out of my skull.
We might try and knock one out here second weekend with someone too if we can, which would be pretty cool. But we'll see what happens. So we appreciate everyone for listening. As always, wrap your tag around the main beam. Peace.